Hi, I'm Doug Keating, and this is All the Way Leadership, a company designed with one purpose in mind, and that's to help make you a better leader. Today, I'm going to share another practical tip to make your next video conference call a success: the mute button. Let's go. The global COVID crisis continues with no end in sight. Millions of employees are working from home and participating in a lot of video teleconference calls. As a result, many more leaders are spending endless hours on camera. It's becoming more important than ever that leaders communicate effectively during video calls and meetings. To help you, I'm going to share another practical tip to have a successful video call: the mute button. Sorry about that. I was talking on the mute button. In case you didn't read last month's blog post or watch the video, let's start with the hard truth first. It is challenging to communicate effectively on camera, especially in group settings. Three common scenarios happen during any video meeting that can create communication challenges. Number one, awkward. Somebody said something completely inappropriate that everyone heard. What do you do next? For example, after you yell at your kid, "I told you to stop chasing your sister!" Oh, I'm sorry, did you hear that? My mistake. Number two, boredom. No one is talking because they're distracted and not paying attention. Hard to get stuff done while everybody's zoned out. Oh, sorry. I was zoned out there for a second. Three, confusion. Multiple people talking at the same time. Hard to hear, much less understand what is being said when this happens. You get the jitters just listening to it. As I was saying, oh, I'm sorry, you go first. Oh, me? Okay, well then, no, you first. No, me. Many leaders, including myself, wonder, how do I get better at video conference calls? The last thing any of us want to do is look stupid in front of others. We can ill afford a meeting full of awkward moments. I already shared the most practical tip I can give you to be better on camera, which is turn on your camera as much as possible. Now I'll provide another practical tip for successful video conference call. There's an easy way for you to avoid awkward gaffes. I'm going to convince you that the mute button is your friend. Simply put, better to be on mute than caught in an awkward hot mic moment. Trust me, you will thank me later. The mute button is there for a reason. Don't ignore it. Make the mute button your best friend during the next conference call. My main advice is to start every meeting on mute and remain in that mode until it is time for you to talk. When you're ready to make a brilliant comment or meaningful contribution to the meeting, go off mute, say your piece, and then go back to mute. Don't leave your microphone open. Mute it. 5 simple steps to follow. Listen, think, click, talk, press, and go back on mute. Here they are in order again. Listen to the meeting while you're on mute. 2, think about what you're going to say before you say it. Important step. 3, click on the mute button to turn on your microphone. 4, talk clearly and concisely into the microphone. 5, press the mute button to return to mute again and keep listening. I know this seems pretty elementary. The reason I'm talking about this is that I see mistakes happen all the time. If you spend a lot of time on video conference calls, you've most likely witnessed someone saying something inappropriate that everyone on the call heard. Perhaps this has even happened to you. It might be a minor misstep, like answering another call or talking to someone else who's not part of the meeting. Mom, what's that? Oh, please don't post those baby pictures of me on Facebook. You know I hate that. Oops, sorry. My mom. Let's say one of your kids comes in the office to ask a question, and you answer with the mute button off. Everyone gets to hear the answer. Hopefully, it's something trivial like what is for dinner. What What's that? Popeye chicken sandwich. That's what we're having for dinner. All right, let's talk about the tough stuff. It is difficult to recover from a major gaffe. A much worse scenario is you or someone says something provocative that no one should hear. Want some examples? Dropping an F-bomb in the meeting, remarking that someone in the meeting is an idiot, or that what your boss just said is the stupidest thing you have ever heard, are good example of major gaffes. Each could lead to problems for you, really big problems. In fact, I know leaders who have lost their jobs because they said something that others heard that they shouldn't have said. They played with fire and got burned. Use the mute button to avoid embarrassing moments. No one can hear you if you are muted. Plain and simple. On the other hand, you can recover easily from talking into the mute button. Some of you are still not convinced. You're thinking, but what if I forget to come off mute when it's time for me to talk? If you're like me, you've probably spoken while still on mute many times before. We all do it at some point. No big deal. No one is perfect when it comes to video conference calls, and I don't think participants expect perfection. Once you realize the error, correct it. Simply apologize for being on mute and repeat what you said originally. Sure, it might be a little annoying to other participants, but I would much rather deal with this situation than try to correct the previous examples we just talked through. Let's talk about helping others. Sometimes other participants will forget to use the mute button appropriately. What should you do if someone else is trying to talk and forgot to unmute? Help the person out. Simply say, I can't hear you. You probably are on mute. What about the opposite situation? They're talking about something inappropriate and should be on mute. Good news. Many modern video teleconference tools will allow you to mute another participant. In fact, Microsoft Teams allows you to mute anyone and everyone on the call, even at the same time if you need to. Sounds extreme, I know. However, this functionality may be useful when starting a large meeting where everyone's chit-chatting, chit-chit-chit-chit-chit-chit, and you're not sure how to get their attention. Trust me, they'll recognize it's time to pay attention when you mute another user. I know because it's happened to me. Some tools will even tell you, you've been muted. Let me finish with some last words of warning. It's worth noting that you should check every now and then during a long meeting to make sure you are still on mute. The worst thing that can happen is you press the unmute button without knowing it and say something stupid. The scenario may not sound likely, but I've heard it happen many times. Remember, everyone will hear it and you can't erase the tapes. My last words of warning are to treat your microphone like it is on all the time, even after you hit the mute button. The most prudent method to avoiding a hot mic situation is to not say anything appropriate ever while you're on a video teleconference call. Stay silent. It may save you all kinds of headaches down the road. What's the key takeaway? Use the mute button appropriately. Stay on mute, come off it when it's time for you to talk, and then go back onto mute. I'm Doug Keating, and this is All the Way Leadership, a company designed with one purpose in mind, and that is to help make you a better leader. I hope you join me on this journey to raise up the next generation of leaders. The world is in desperate need of more great leaders, women and men who will lead with confidence, clarity, and creativity. It's time to become the leader your world needs. Let's go all the way.